When connecting an underground cable to an existing overhead service drop, conductor compatibility is a key consideration. In a scenario where the existing service drop uses 4 2/0 overhead conductors and the planned underground cable has 3 2/0 conductors, a direct connection isn't possible without modifications. Several options exist to bridge this compatibility gap. Firstly, installing a splice box is a viable solution. Place the splice box at the point where the underground cable connects to the service drop. Then splice the 3 2/0 underground conductors to the 4 2/0 service drop conductors. This method allows for adaptation between the different conductor configurations. Secondly, consider using a reducing transformer. This involves installing a small reducing transformer at the splice point. Connect the 3 2/0 underground conductors to the transformer's primary winding and the 4 2/0 service drop conductors to the transformer's secondary winding. This allows for a direct connection, but be aware that it might introduce additional losses and requires careful selection of the transformer's specifications. Thirdly, you might consider replacing the entire service drop. This involves replacing the existing service drop with a cable that has 3 2/0 conductors. While it ensures a direct match in conductor count, this option requires removing the old service drop and installing a new one, potentially increasing labor and material costs. Considering practicality and efficiency, using a splice box is often the most favorable option. It allows you to keep the existing service drop intact while adapting to the underground cable configuration. This method typically involves less disruption and can be implemented relatively easily. When using a splice box, several additional considerations are crucial. Ensure that the conductors are properly terminated and insulated at the splice point. This prevents shorts, grounds, and other electrical hazards. Use a UL-listed splice box and connectors that are rated for the ampacity and voltage of the conductors. This ensures that the components are designed and tested to handle the electrical load safely. Consider the environmental conditions at the splice point. Protect the connections from moisture and corrosion. This might involve using weatherproof enclosures or applying corrosion-resistant coatings to the connections. Always obtain necessary permits and consult with the utility company before performing any electrical work. This ensures that the project complies with local regulations and utility requirements. Choosing the right method for connecting your underground cable to the overhead service depends on factors like cost, ease of installation, and the specific electrical requirements of your setup. Always prioritize safety and compliance with electrical codes. When dealing with electrical connections, proper grounding is essential for safety and to prevent electrical shock hazards. Ensure that the grounding system is correctly installed and connected according to the National Electrical Code, or NEC. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for grounding and bonding electrical systems. Proper grounding helps to provide a low impedance path for fault currents, which helps to quickly trip circuit breakers or fuses and to energize the circuit in the event of a fault. The grounding system typically consists of a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or metallic water pipe, connected to the equipment grounding conductors and the neutral conductor. The equipment grounding conductors are connected to the metal enclosures of electrical equipment and appliances to provide a path for fault currents to return to the source. Bonding is another important aspect of electrical safety. Bonding involves connecting all metal parts of the electrical system together to create an electrically continuous path. This helps to equalize the voltage potential between different metal parts, reducing the risk of electrical shock. Bonding is typically achieved by using bonding jumpers or bonding screws to connect metal enclosures, conduit, and other metal components. When working with electrical systems, it is important to follow all safety precautions and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE. PPE may include insulated gloves, safety glasses, and arc-rated clothing. Always de-energize the circuit before working on it and use a voltage tester to verify that the circuit is de-energized. Electrical work should only be performed by qualified and licensed electricians who have the knowledge and experience to perform the work safely and correctly. Remember to consult the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements and guidelines for electrical installations. When selecting conductors for your electrical system, it is important to consider the ampacity of the conductors. Ampacity refers to the maximum current that a conductor can carry continuously without exceeding its temperature rating. The ampacity of a conductor depends on factors such as the conductor size, insulation type, and the ambient temperature. The NEC provides tables that list the ampacities of various conductors under different conditions. It is important to select conductors with an ampacity that is sufficient to carry the expected load current. Overloading conductors can cause them to overheat, which can lead to insulation damage, fire hazards, and equipment failure. When calculating the required conductor size, it is important to consider any dirting factors that may apply. Dirting factors are adjustments that are made to the ampacity of a conductor to account for factors such as ambient temperature, conduit fill, and the number of conductors bundled together. The NEC provides guidelines for applying dirting factors to conductor ampacities. It is important to follow these guidelines to ensure that the conductors are adequately sized for the application. In addition to ampacity, it is also important to consider the voltage drop in the conductors. Voltage drop refers to the reduction in voltage that occurs as current flows through a conductor. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to operate inefficiently or fail to operate at all. The NEC recommends limiting the voltage drop in branch circuits to 3% and the voltage drop in feeders to 5%. To minimize voltage drop, it is important to select conductors that are large enough to carry the load current without excessive voltage drop. The length of the conductor also affects voltage drop, so it is important to keep conductor lengths as short as possible. When installing conductors, it is important to follow all applicable codes and standards. Conductors should be properly supported and protected from physical damage. Conductors should also be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Improperly installed conductors can create safety hazards and equipment failures. When terminating conductors, it is important to use the proper connectors and tools. Conductors should be securely terminated to prevent loose connections, which can cause overheating and electrical arcing. Termination should be made in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and applicable codes and standards. Regularly inspect electrical connections for signs of corrosion, damage, or looseness. Tighten any loose connections and replace any damaged components. A well-maintained electrical system is essential for safety and reliability. Always follow safe electrical practices and consult with a qualified electrician when necessary. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions. Staying informed about electrical safety and best practices is key to preventing accidents and ensuring a safe electrical system. In the context of selecting and installing conductors for an electrical system, understanding the different types of insulation is crucial. Insulation plays a vital role in preventing electrical shorts and ensuring the safe and reliable operation of the system. Several types of insulation are commonly used in electrical conductors, each with its own properties and applications. Thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon coated, or THHN, is a common type of insulation used for general purpose wiring. THHN insulation is heat resistant and suitable for dry and damp locations. It has a maximum operating temperature of 194 degrees Fahrenheit or 90 degrees Celsius. Thermoplastic heat resistant water resistant, or THW, insulation is another common type of insulation that is suitable for both wet and dry locations. THW insulation is also heat resistant and has a maximum operating temperature of 167 degrees Fahrenheit or 75 degrees Celsius. Cross-linked polyethylene, or XLPE, insulation is a type of thermoset insulation that is known for its excellent electrical and mechanical properties. XLPE insulation is heat resistant, moisture resistant, and chemical resistant. It has a maximum operating temperature of 194 degrees Fahrenheit or 90 degrees Celsius. Rubber insulation is a type of insulation that is made from natural or synthetic rubber compounds. Rubber insulation is flexible and abrasion resistant, making it suitable for applications where flexibility is important. However, rubber insulation is not as heat resistant as other types of insulation and has a low maximum operating temperature. The type of insulation that is used for a particular application depends on factors such as the operating temperature, the environmental conditions, and the voltage level. It is important to select the appropriate type of insulation to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system. The NEC provides guidelines for selecting the appropriate type of insulation for different applications. When installing conductors, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions and applicable codes and standards. Conductors should be properly supported and protected from physical damage. Conductors should also be installed in a manner that does not damage the insulation. Damaged insulation can create safety hazards and equipment failures. When terminating conductors, it is important to use the proper connectors and tools. Conductors should be securely terminated to prevent loose connections, which can cause overheating and electrical arcing. Terminations should be made in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and applicable codes and standards. Regularly inspect electrical insulation for signs of damage such as cracks, cuts, or abrasions. Replace any damaged conductors or insulation to prevent electrical hazards. A well-maintained electrical system is essential for safety and reliability. Always follow safe electrical practices and consult with a qualified electrician when necessary. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions. Staying informed about electrical safety and best practices is key to preventing accidents and ensuring a safe electrical system. In addition to the considerations already mentioned, understanding the concept of overcurrent protection is paramount when working with electrical systems. Overcurrent protection devices such as circuit breakers and fuses are designed to protect electrical circuits from excessive current flow, which can cause overheating, insulation damage, and fire hazards. Circuit breakers are electromechanical devices that automatically interrupt the flow of current when an overcurrent condition is detected. Circuit breakers can be reset after they trip, allowing the circuit to be restored to normal operation. Fuses are overcurrent protection devices that contain a fusible link that melts and opens the circuit when an overcurrent condition is detected. Fuses must be replaced after they blow. The size of the circuit breaker or fuse that is used to protect a particular circuit depends on the ampacity of the conductors and the load that the circuit is designed to carry. The NEC provides guidelines for selecting the appropriate size of overcurrent protection devices for different applications. It is important to select overcurrent protection devices that are properly sized to protect the circuit from overcurrent conditions. Overcurrent protection devices that are too small will trip unnecessarily, while overcurrent protection devices that are too large will not provide adequate protection. When selecting overcurrent protection devices, it is important to consider the interrupting rating of the device. The interrupting rating is the maximum amount of current that the device can safely interrupt without failing. The interrupting rating of the overcurrent protection device must be greater than the available fault current at the point of installation. The available fault current is the amount of current that would flow in the event of a short circuit. It is important to determine the available fault current before selecting overcurrent protection devices. Overcurrent protection devices should be installed in readily accessible locations so that they can be easily reset or replaced. Overcurrent protection devices should also be properly labeled to indicate the circuits that they protect. Regularly inspect overcurrent protection devices for signs of damage such as cracks, burns, or corrosion. Replace any damaged overcurrent protection devices to ensure that the circuit is properly protected. A well-maintained electrical system is essential for safety and reliability. Always follow safe electrical practices and consult with a qualified electrician when necessary. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions. Staying informed about electrical safety and best practices is key to preventing accidents and ensuring a safe electrical system. In addition to the safety measures discussed, it's vital to understand the role of electrical enclosures in protecting electrical components and personnel. Electrical enclosures are designed to house and protect electrical equipment from environmental factors such as moisture, dust, and physical damage. They also provide a barrier to prevent accidental contact with live electrical parts. Electrical enclosures are available in a variety of materials, sizes, and designs to suit different applications. Common materials include metal, plastic, and fiberglass. The choice of material depends on factors such as the environment, the type of equipment being housed, and the level of protection required. Metal enclosures are typically used in industrial settings where high levels of protection are needed. Metal enclosures provide excellent protection against physical damage and electromagnetic interference. Plastic enclosures are lighter and more corrosion resistant than metal enclosures. They are commonly used in residential and commercial applications where aesthetics are important. Fiberglass enclosures are strong, lightweight, and corrosion resistant. They are often used in harsh environments where exposure to chemicals or moisture is a concern. Electrical enclosures are classified according to their ability to protect against environmental factors. The National Electrical Manufacturers Association, or NEMA, develops standards for electrical enclosures. NEMA ratings indicate the level of protection that an enclosure provides against dust, water, ice, and other environmental hazards. For example, a NEMA 3R enclosure is designed to protect against rain, sleet, and snow. A NEMA 4 enclosure is designed to protect against splashing water and hose-directed water. A NEMA 4X enclosure is designed to provide the same protection as a NEMA 4 enclosure, but it is also corrosion resistant. When selecting an electrical enclosure, it is important to consider the environment in which it will be used and the type of equipment that it will house. The enclosure should be large enough to accommodate the equipment and provide adequate space for wiring and connections. The enclosure should also be properly grounded to prevent electrical shock hazards. The electrical enclosures should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and applicable codes and standards. The enclosure should be securely mounted to a wall or other support structure. The enclosure should also be properly sealed to prevent the entry of moisture and dust. Regularly inspect electrical enclosures for signs of damage such as cracks, dents, or corrosion. Repair or replace any damaged enclosures to ensure that the equipment is properly protected. A well-maintained electrical system is essential for safety and reliability. Always follow safe electrical practices and consult with a qualified electrician when necessary. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions. Staying informed about electrical safety and best practices is key to preventing accidents and ensuring a safe electrical system.